Welcome everybody to From East to West. That sounded really weird. Two from East to West. Welcome from East to West. I can't. I should have rehearsed that. Hey everybody, this is an AMA. All 750 of you. This is an Ask Me Anything, and you get to ask me, and you get to ask Brett me. Brett is my co-host. We are co-hosts and co-founders and co-managers of this live AMA. Welcome to the show, Brett. Welcome.
Have you ever been on X or something and then watched the show while you're doing the show? It's pretty interesting.
I actually will pull up something else so that I can verify that it's going live and it makes sense. Yes, it's a little behind. Usually I'll pull up YouTube.
Yeah.
So you were saying something before about a marketplace. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's called Amazon.
I don't believe you.
I think it started in 1999.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right.
You can sell stuff on it. It's pretty neat.
Okay. And what's something that's important to know about selling on it?
I keep going back to this. You got to always have your foundation set.
Okay.
There's always bells and whistles. And if you don't have those foundations set, those bells and whistles don't matter.
Let's talk about foundations, because I feel like I have conversations about that a lot with people. And I kind of feel like there's maybe four. I want to simplify as much as possible. I feel like there's maybe four places to touch. Not a sexual show, by the way. I would like to know, what do you feel like are the foundations?
Well, I'm going to do two things here. I am going to wing it off the top of my head, and then I just typed it into ChatGPT, and I'm going to see what they say. I'm not going to look at it. It's on that screen over there. The foundations, if we want to drill it down and not I like to overcomplicate things, and not overcomplicate things. It really is about being retail ready.
Okay.
And really what that is I like to think about it as like Amazon as a retailer. So
yeah,
you need to have there's two aspects of retail ready: consumer ready and basically back end ready. So catalog and consumer facing, which kind of work hand in hand with each other. So with that, your listings need to be set up accurately and correctly with both of those in mind. So all the distinguished attributes that are pertinent: size, weight, intention of the product benefits, things of that. And then consumer facing kind of folds in with that is titles, bullet points, images, anything on that product detail page that will sell. Yeah, I think that's really the basics. It's just retail ready. So if people are looking for it, they want to buy it.
Okay. I was going to say that all those, it seems like I hear people say Amazon changes all the time. Yes and no. Yes, some things change, but a lot of the stuff, like the basics, stay the same. The things that I think probably change more that people are not thinking about are probably some of those back-end things, like what are the attributes, new browse nodes, things that start to break. Those are things that I feel like actually can have a huge impact on searchability. I still think it's going to come down to sales velocity, sales history, but I think those back-end things can change so frequently without anybody knowing that it's hard. Like if you're not doing an audit on something, or at least checking in, like that could really hurt your catalog or your sellability.
Yeah, that's actually part of my portion of the speech that I'm going to be providing at Prosper, is just that, is the changes that can occur without you kind of knowing that they're going to occur, and how to kind of stay ahead of it. There's a lot of little tools and pieces, but they're kind of fragmented. And so if that's not part of your workflow as a brand or as an agency, you're going to be playing catch up quite a bit.
Yeah. The way that I frame it, I think it kind of falls in some of those buckets that you talked about, but you have to have a game plan. You have to have a strategy. Every account that I audit, let's say past year, I have not seen a clear strategy. There is no strategy, and just spending, this is not a strategy. Hey, we're going to spend, we're going to advertise. Great. What's your intention behind advertising? So you first have to have a plan, and that could be like, how do we want to represent ourselves? Who do we want to go after? And then when I think about strategy tactically, it's what categories of targets are we going after? And what is our intention behind those? So I think about branded. How much do we want to defend branded? How aggressive do we want to be going against competitors? What do we want to own in the category? Like, that's how I start to think about strategy. It's not that complicated. It's once you get into those strategies, the actual execution of doing that, that's where skill comes into play. But under strategy, I think about it like catalog, creative, advertising. Catalog is your listing sellable? Meaning, is it live? Is it suppressed or is it live? Do you have enough inventory in? Or are you out of stock? What's your account health look like? Is any of that impacting you? That's what I think of when I think of catalog. So it's basically all the logistical back-end stuff, the like really important kind of unsexy stuff that you need to have working to be successful. Creative is, what does your real estate look like? You want to sell your product, you got to have the right pictures. Just like no one's going to show up to a house that's not prepped. If you're trying to sell and it looks like a dump, they're not going to show up. The last thing is advertising. You got to get traffic to the page, and that's oversimplifying it, but you've got now enough traffic, hopefully, to then optimize, and you're pushing enough velocity to it to start to figure out what's really working and what's not. But good real estate, live real estate, getting traffic to that real estate, and then an actual strategy around what you're trying to do. That's how I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes me think about like traffic's so important, and you see so many people do traffic differently.
By different, you mean wrong, right?
Well, it depends on the strategy. So like, there's no wrong or right way to do it. It just depends on what
I disagree with
the
that
outcome to be.
I think there are wrong ways to do it, but I think there's also a lot of right ways to do it.
But in what context though? So like, if I had $1 million budget, you really can't go wrong.
Yes, you can.
You could, so. But what's the context?
Okay, here's my context. You start to organize things incorrectly, and you start to crowd your campaigns, and you don't properly segment things. I think you could generate a lot of sales without actually building the search equity that you need.
So yeah, I agree with that.
I think you're right. There are a lot of ways to approach it or different styles, but I also think there certainly are. It's not all like, apples to apples.
Yeah.
There's definitely things like, don't do this. Like, hey, here's one thing I would say with $1 million budget. Don't spend it all on discovery. If you're spending mostly on broad phrase and auto targeting, you're spending on discovery and you're not driving search equity, or what I call search equity, your position in search. That's what I think of when I think of the wrong way to do it.
And it's like, well, maybe you are discovering, but you're not doing anything after that discovery period.
Right.
Like, you're not utilizing the next phase of that. And that next phase is like quality traffic that's returning a positive ROAS, like maybe you're not doing that. And that's wrong. I guess this circles back to like audits when let's just say you got an account and someone comes in and does an audit. I've done millions of audits and I've done this. You can always find something wrong.
Sure.
Always. Like, I've never been in an audit or seen other people do an audit for an account and they're like, everything's great. But it's like, because they don't have context into it. It's like, what if that period of time that they pulled was a lot of discovery and a lot of mining for keywords and a lot of that stuff. Now, back end stuff, it's like, oh, you're missing this, and this. It's a clear cut A to B, black and white thing. But when it comes to advertising, it's not. But you're absolutely right. Organization is the number one thing. But at the same time, is that, do some people organize? I guess naming can be the only thing that can be debatable here. But it's like, is there one clear-cut organizational way to organize your campaigns in advertising? Is there like a standard, or do you think that agency XYZ over there and ABC are doing something similar, but it leads to the exact same result? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that you can certainly probably get to the same place with two different ways, but I think it comes down to your goals and your budget. You're absolutely right about an audit, by the way, just to double back on that. You can always find something wrong. I try to be as honest as possible. So I will say, hey, this actually looks really good here. So I don't have a problem with this. I wouldn't change that, but I am seeing this. Here's the problem. And when I go in and look at an account, it should be clear what, and there's so many tools that you can pull to say, like, hey, this is probably a really relevant term for you, and you should be ranking high organically on this. And then I go and look at where they're spending. They're not spending on that term. They're not driving anything there, and they're not ranked high organically. That's just one example. So like, I don't see that. There's nothing strategic happening. If I'm seeing mostly discovery spend, there's nothing strategic happening. Now, the strategy could suck, but I feel like what often happens is just lack of strategy. And I think it is people thinking about the basics, because the basics are still true, but you have to know how to execute on those. Okay, I want a great PDP. Yep, I know that basic is true, but then your PDP looks like crap because you're not using text, or you're using really low quality images, or you're not testing to see if a 3D render works better on the as the main image or not. But like, so there's a lot of ways that you could go wrong. But when I think about no strategy in advertising, or just strategy issues, I feel like it typically stems from lack of strategy. And that's how I would categorize it. But if you're looking at a campaign and you're saying, hey, I've got $1 million budget, how should I structure things? Is there a wrong way? Is there a right way? I do feel like it ultimately, and even regardless of $1 million, it does come down to budget. Like, how much do you have to spend, and what's your objective? If you're a newer brand and you have just a little bit to spend, that will probably change the number of campaigns, number of targets that you go after, and what you end up driving towards. You're not going to be able to go after trying to rank on a term that has high search volume that's super competitive. So that will change what we target inside of those like core strategies of, category, competitor, branded. But at the end of the day, you've got more than, a certain number of targets in your campaigns, or even leveraging multiple ad groups in one campaign. I feel like you're at a huge disadvantage because you now have less control over your budget. If you're setting up a campaign, I prefer to do one campaign, one ad group. Yes, it means you end up having more campaigns. It's a little bit more to manage, but you've got so much more control. If you're wanting to rank on a term, you're going to set that targeting inside the ad group up very differently than like general category themes or a couple of ASINs that you're going after from a competitor that have an applicable product. So like, I do feel like there are some no's, but beyond that, I think you've got a little bit of flexibility.
I feel like the only, I feel you could create different ad groups for, let's just say you have a collection of a certain kind of shampoo that does a certain thing. So let's just say it's meant for brittle hair that's thin. And then you also have a conditioner, and you also have a spray. I think organizing ad groups within one campaign for those certain ones, and then having an ad group for a catch-all is doable as well.
Doable, but then you want to tamp down budget on something that's spending more aggressively over those other ad groups. How do you control it?
Well, that's the thing.
That's why I like
budget
segmentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then I can say, instead of having to reduce bids, I can just say, hey, I kind of want to pull back on this right now, and I want to figure out what's going on. I want to triage it and then release it into the world, or just turn it off and pause it in general.
Yeah. Yeah. There's two different ways to make it happen, but
okay. So we have established.
Yeah. So Chat GPT said went a little bit broader. 10 things.
Oh gosh, that's a lot of things.
Listing optimization, pricing strategy. I'm not going to go into details. Fulfillment method. I feel like a lot of these can just be rolled up. Advertising, traffic generation, reviews and customer service, inventory and logistics management, brand protection and compliance, data and analytics, and scaling and diversification. So it's a lot. And I literally just put in, what are the foundations of selling on Amazon?
Yeah, I think
so.
I think it can be distilled down for sure.
Oh yeah. I think like everything, it's easy to get really inundated with too much information. Brett likes shampoo. I would. I don't use it.
I didn't say that you use it. I just said you like that you like it.
Shampoo is better.
Gosh. So
conditioner is better.
We are on the precipice of something huge with Amazon. I just wanted to say that.
What's
there's
that?
nothing.
Tell me. Secret sauce?
There's no secret sauce other than just the regular red sauce. It's got meat in it. That's the secret. Something that did happen recently was Amazon integrating Rufus more directly into search. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts about Rufus. I mean, if you weren't doing what you should be doing now in the past, you're probably not a good digital marketer. That's just my thought. And I want to keep it at that. All of this stuff that Rufus has kind of come out with has been around for a while. Utilizing, text and images and whatnot. Now it's just at the forefront because you can actually see it. Like you can connect the dots. But if in the past, if you weren't saying, hey, this does this for this, and this is why it does this for this, and this is how it helps this, you're not doing a good job marketing.
That's a good point.
And that's what Rufus is it's connecting all these dots and going, oh, okay, like you're pregnant, you want a black shoe, you want cushion for the shoe. It goes back to the thing that I always think about this in sales and marketing. It's the person that got rich during the gold rush was the person that sold the shovels.
What about the people that found the gold though?
Well, I know some people.
You think it was less, but more consistently the shovel?
Yeah, because you were providing a solution to people going out there, and people sold shovels. So it's like you got to think of it that way, and I like to think ancillary products, and basically it's like think of every product as an ancillary product to another product. Even if it's not, but think of it as, what does this product do? And how does it do it? And why does it do it? And basically the product is always you.
Seth Godin.
Like you're the product. Oh, is that
Seth
Godin
really
says Seth
you're
Godin?
The product. Especially when it comes to like a phone.
Yeah, you're the product. So it's that's what Rufus is it's basically trying to help find a product for you. And I think I'm just going off on tangents, but essentially you should have already been doing
It's a good point. And I think you have to do that in your media assets because people aren't spending a lot of time shopping on Amazon. Now, once they get on the site, to be clear, they're probably, depending upon the product, going and doing research. And I've talked with a brand or two who have done some direct consumer research, and they say, how are you discovering our products? I go on Instagram, I look for someone who has, speaking of shampoo, who has similar hair to me. I have a 4A or 1C flat hair, or I have super, curly, thick hair, whatever. I'm looking for someone who's using a product similar to me, or there's just someone I follow and I look at the product, then I go look at it on Amazon. So they already know what they're wanting. They're coming and making a quick purchase. But in order to guarantee that you're going to convert, you've already got trust. You need to tell them very quickly, why should you buy this product? It detangles easily, and it is biodegradable, and we don't use plastic. So now you've told them your mission, effectiveness of the product, and some values of the company. Okay, great. Now I know that I'm ready to purchase, because they certainly could have other eyeballs, or those consumers could get their eyeballs on other products, then they go and buy those products. Maybe it's like, oh, this is close enough. Oh, it's got some of the same things that I like this other one, and it's $10 cheaper. Or there's a celebrity on this page. I don't know, but like, you have to grab people's attention in text and the back-end search terms, or your title, your bullet points. I don't think people are reading those, but Rufus or search can read those and understand intent as well as reviews. So like, all those things matter. I feel like when we think about something like Rufus, yes, I think it will change things. I think people have to get trained. At the end of the day, though, it starts with good product. And a lot of people don't create good products, and they want to sell them. So how do you fix that?
Yeah. My thing is, so when you're shopping at a store, you can pick up the product, you can feel it, you can read it, and you can smell it, I guess.
I smell everything. Cards,
I do
bread.
too. I smell everything. But on Amazon, you can't. So how do you bring those senses into that? Like, how do you bring it into the shopping experience on Amazon? That's like the question you always have to ask yourself, is how do individuals shop, and then how do you bring that onto the digital world? Because they're basically, if you don't have those things that you said, such as influencers and whatnot, and yeah, people are influenced quite a bit by those people, whether it's real or not. That's another story, but that's a huge factor in this day and age of shopping. But they also is like, how do you effectively sell it to a consumer that's coming cold, top of funnel, just looking at it and going, how do I want this product? Does it solve my problem? It's really just the day-age marketing tactic of how do you make that happen, and it differs between all products and all consumers.
Product categories will matter. Like in sunglasses or glasses, can people do a virtual try-on so they can see something? If it's a couch, can they do a see this in my living room? If it's a shampoo, can they see the texture of the product? Can they see what it looks like? If it's food, are you giving them I've seen a lot of people do visual images of food where it's like, we sell a chocolate brownie protein bar. Well, they're putting brownies and stuff in the page, fudge dripping. I mean, it's drool-worthy content. That's what is helping people to say, oh man, this is what the flavor tastes like. I mean, you got to be able to back it up. But that's the marketing component, just telling the story about your product.
Yeah.
But the category will matter for sure. And category will matter from a cost perspective. You're trying to sell nameplates to people, then it's going to be probably a little bit cheaper than trying to sell cell phone cases or beauty products, skincare, whatever the case might be.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it's telling that story. Utilizing imagery is the biggest thing. I think bullet points for certain categories are still important when it comes down to technical and really researching things. Like for instance, like I think of like the hardware or like industrial category. You need to like put all the tech
Yeah.
specs and all that
Couldn't you
good
just put
stuff in
those
there.
also, or not couldn't you, but also put them in the images?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
both. My thing is like I've always looked at this as like male or female purchasers. They shop
Okay.
differently. They have different shopping patterns. So like males will usually just be like, will that work with what I need it to work with?
Less research.
And
Less
usually
research.
it's text, less research. It's just tech specs. Show me the details. Boom. All right,
Yeah.
perfect. Yes, it will work, or no, it won't work. Women, especially, that are, let's just say, pregnant and they're searching for baby stuff. They want to be like, is it good for my baby? Is there any bad stuff in there? Will it hurt my baby? No plastics, all kinds of stuff. So you have to utilize all the different fields. So it's a different shopping behavior that's happening. And I think clarity into that top part is who is the customer and what do they do and what are they looking for, so you can pinpoint those pinpoints. Because if you don't have that, then you're going to be changing it and going back and forth quite a bit. It's just doable. It's just going to take longer to get to wherever you need to go.
I think that that's a good call out, that you've got different people that are shopping different ways. Even the marketplace that you're on, or where you're at, someone on TikTok shopping differently than IG, all that stuff. So I think that is all really, I think you have to think about that first. So one, what is your product? What does your product actually do? And who does it serve? And what problem does it fill? Because you certainly could have a great product, but you don't actually know the void that it's filling. That's a problem. That you don't know the problem, and you're not going to sell as effectively if you don't. But then where are you showing it? Like, you just create content and you push everything out to every single site, and there's no thinking about how you make tweaks or adjustments there. That's a problem too. Now, I think you can certainly repurpose stuff, for like what you create on Amazon could work on Walmart, because maybe the shopper is a little different, but it's a marketplace versus your site. You got more control. You can create more of the experience. Like, I think that's all stuff you got to think about too. The end spot where things are going.
For sure.
Well, we pretty much covered everything when it comes to Amazon. I think we've crushed it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I think we did.
It was like a intro to marketing.
You know, I was talking with someone on my live show, and we were saying how there is no real formal education for this space.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can take away regular marketing tactics and stuff and use that and tweak it for this space. Because all in all, I mean, I was in retail for a little while and worked with grocery stores, and a lot of it crosses over to the marketplace. If you just think of the SERP as shelves, basically, and you're walking down an aisle, it really like crosses over. There is an aisle of products, and people pay to be in a better spot, and the grocery store will put the higher volume items eye level, so people will buy more of it because it makes more sense. You pay for end caps, so there is a huge crossover. It's just you got to kind of put them all together. But you're right, there is no formal.
And I feel like it's okay. Like, you cut your teeth on, you cut your teeth in the space, but you of course want it to be cutting your teeth on the right stuff and not just random stuff.
But it still comes to this ye old tested, not tested method, but the secret sauce is really just
right.
testing.
That's what everything is. Advertising is testing. Content is testing. Like, you figure it out
That's all
and
it
then
is.
test. I think that's great.
You're like, oh, I made some great content. Oh, cool. Based on these words, they're the conversion rate's sitting at 12%. It's like, okay, well, where's the category? How can you change that? Is my impression share going up? My click through rate going up based on SQP? On a weekly basis, and be like, all right, cool. Let's capture some more conversion. What can we do? What are we failing at? What are these words showing us? Why are they dropping off? Why is our conversion rate lower for these words? Are they relevant words? All those
Test and learn,
questions.
people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we did it. Pretty much crushed it. Nice work today, man. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Until next time. By the way, we've changed this now to Wednesdays, people. Wednesdays at 2. It's more convenient for us, so it's now more convenient for you. Second Wednesday of the month.
That's right.
We'll see you next second Wednesday of the month. Bye-bye.
See you.